Have you ever had someone try to take something that belongs to you? I am not going to lie, it has happened to me before. I will tell you that. In drill music, the line between rap and real life is very thin. For BloodHound Lil and Q50, their lyrics were not just for entertainment. They were like blueprints for what happened next. In 333, BloodHound Lil rapped, "When I ran up on that car, his eyes locked up, and he was stuck." To someone unfamiliar with the streets, this might sound like just another drill rap line. But in reality, this bar was describing a real-life shooting, one that ended in tragedy. 19-year-old Jal Gones was shot after getting into Robert Smith's car on a Sunday night. Smith said he hit the gas as soon as someone outside started shooting. He rushed Gones to the hospital, but it was too late. Gones did not survive. But Jeff was not the only one sending messages through music. Q50 had his own way of letting people know what was happening. In Splash Brothers, Q50 rapped, "Should have seen his face trying to eat his chips when I bailed out the Maxima. I went up 8. Glenn was reportedly shot while grabbing snacks at a Clark gas station. Witnesses said everything happened so fast. One moment, he was paying for his food, and the next, gunfire erupted outside." Q50's lyrics described it in chilling detail. He rapped about a Nissan Maxima pulling up and shots ringing out. At first, it seemed like just another drill song, but when police found an abandoned Maxima, the same car linked to Glenn's shooting, it raised eyebrows. Coincidence? Maybe. But in the world of drill music, these kinds of coincidences happen too often to ignore. And Glenn's case was not the only time Q50's lyrics matched real events. In his song I Love My Draco, Lil rapped, "Riding around with this Drac, it will take your soul. I just made a play today for like 6 phones." To an average listener, it might sound like just another rap about guns and street life. But when you compare these lyrics to what happened outside a Chicago McDonald's on November 10, 2022, the connection becomes disturbing. That day, a gunman opened fire near 95th and Wentworth, hitting 3 people. One of the victims was 29-year-old Rodney Strong, also known as V. High. He did not make it. His brother and mother were also shot, but managed to survive. According to police reports, the shooters used both handguns and a rifle. Many people believe that rifle was a Draco, the same gun that Q50 kept mentioning in his lyrics. The details did not stop there. Surveillance footage showed a car pulling up before the shooting, similar to how Q50 described in his music. The lyrics painted a picture almost identical to what actually happened. Some fans believed it was all just art imitating life, but others saw it differently. They felt like Q50 and his crew were sending a message, turning real-life violence into entertainment. This was not the first time Chicago drill rappers had been accused of using music to document real crimes. For years, law enforcement has studied drill lyrics, looking for clues about gang conflicts and retaliation. Many rappers argue that they are simply reflecting the world around them, but police see it as something more sinister, almost like a confession hidden in plain sight. The situation with Glenn, Rodney Strong, and others fueled even more speculation. Were these just random shootings, or were they carefully planned events, later turned into lyrics for millions to hear? The lines between music and reality were becoming dangerously thin. As Q50's popularity grew, so did the scrutiny around him. Every song he dropped was now under the microscope, with fans and police alike analyzing every word for possible hidden meanings. In the end, drill music remains a powerful yet controversial force. For artists like Q50 and Lil it is a way to express their reality. But when the lyrics start matching real crimes with eerie accuracy, it is impossible not to question where the music ends and the truth begins. Then there was the line, "Long live my ninja JMO. Damn, I hate he gone. But you know I miss to get back, and that will not be long." That line alone raised alarm bells. JMO, a known BloodHound affiliate, was killed just weeks before BJ's death. Many believed I Love My Draco was not just a song but a message, a promise of retaliation. But Q50 and his crew did not stop there. He went on. RP 7.62 hit his head, put a ninja right to bed. His shirt white, we turn it red. BJ was shot multiple times, and reports said the wounds matched 7.62mm rounds, the same bullets used in a Draco rifle. Not long after the shooting, the McDonald's where BJ was killed shut down permanently. Q50's crew, the BloodHounds, saw it as a victory and openly celebrated it in their music. The connections were too strong to ignore. But the real question was Q50 just rapping about real events, or was he confessing? These songs were more than just lyrics. They were warnings, confessions, and, in some cases, play-by-plays of crimes that had already happened. For anyone paying attention, one thing was clear: drill music was not just reflecting the streets. It was fueling them. BloodHound Lil Jeff and Q50 were some of the most infamous drill rappers in Chicago's new era. Their lyrics did not just talk about violence, they confirmed it. From murder to revenge, their music painted a bloody picture of Chicago's gang war. And as the bodies kept dropping, the numbers just kept rising. If I get mad enough, things will start happening. Y'all know this by now. I went away for like a week and poof. How did it get to this point? Chicago's drill scene is not just music. It is a battlefield. And Lil Jeff was one of its most dangerous players. But his story did not start with music. It started with bloodshed. Jeffrey Lamar Harris, better known as Lil Jeff, was born on July 14, 2002, and raised on Chicago's East Side, a place known for heavy gang activity. But for Jeff, the streets were not just something happening around him, they were family business. His older brother, J Boogie, was already deep in that life. Jeff looked up to him. He saw J Boogie carrying guns, making money, and getting respect in the neighborhood. To a young kid like Jeff, that seemed like the only way to survive. But everything changed when Jeff was just 11 years old. He saw something no child should ever have to witness: the murder of Kenny Mack, a well-known figure in the neighborhood. That moment changed Jeff forever. Before that day, Jeff was just another kid trying to fit in. But after seeing that killing, everything changed. He was no longer just in the streets, he wanted revenge. Like many kids growing up in rough neighborhoods, Jeff had dreams of making it to the NBA. He played basketball, hoping it would be his way out. But reality hit him hard when he realized he was not going to make it. With his basketball dreams gone, Jeff turned to the only thing that gave him status: drill music. Drill was not just rap. It was a way for gang members to send threats, celebrate killings, and show that they were not to be messed with. Jeff quickly learned that in this world, being feared meant being famous. His early music sounded different. His voice was still high-pitched, almost like a kid trying to sound tough. But his lyrics were disturbing. He was not just rapping about the streets. He was naming real people, real murders, and real enemies. The more violent his music became, the more people paid attention. His rise in Chicago's drill scene was closely tied to the growing violence between rival gangs. By the time of his death in June 2024, Jeff had become one of the biggest names in a deadly war known as the 0 to 6,679 Civil War. This war started after the murder of his cousin, Z Money, in March 2023. Many believed that members of Trap City were responsible. That murder shattered the fragile peace between Drill City, Trap City, and Chris World, turning the streets into a battlefield. With tensions rising, Jeff found himself in the middle of the conflict. He used his music and social media to make things even worse. After Z Money's death, Jeff's music took a darker turn. He was already known for his aggressive beats and street-focused lyrics, but now his songs were directly tied to real-life violence. He released tracks like Coffin, Stretched, and FTO, all filled with violent imagery and references to actual murders. These songs were not just music, they were messages. They were direct responses to what was happening in the streets. His lyrics made it clear that he was not just watching the violence, he was part of it. Jeff's social media also played a huge role in fueling the war. He was always on Instagram Live, arguing with members of Trap City, taunting them, and bragging about murders as if they were points in a game. His posts were filled with threats and street talk, making it clear that he was deeply involved. But the most shocking part? His own mother allegedly encouraged his street lifestyle. Viral text messages showed her supporting his choices instead of trying to pull him away from the streets. This only made people believe that Jeff was not just a product of his environment, he was fully committed to it. As violence in Chicago grew, so did Jeff's involvement. On June 25, 2023, the war escalated when Trap City member Lil was killed. Jeff wasted no time referencing it in his music. The murder happened in Little Italy, an area that was usually considered safe, making it even more shocking. Jeff's music became more violent, often mentioning specific acts of retaliation. By the end of 2023, the bloodshed only increased, with rumors spreading that Jeff had been involved in even more killings. By November, 2 more murders, Little Deuce and D Money, were linked to him. Both were killed while sitting in parked cars. Despite the rising violence, Jeff's music career was thriving. His songs were gaining attention, especially after the downtown double homicide on January 26, 2024. That day, 2 high school students, Monty, Williams, and Robert, Lil Rob, Boston, were shot and killed near Washington L Station in broad daylight. A gunman opened fire on a group of students during their lunch break, killing 2 of them in downtown Chicago. The location and timing made it impossible for the city to ignore, and the media covered it heavily. Many believed Jeff was involved, and his reputation only grew. In February 2024, he released a song that seemed to reference the murders, and the video got almost 2 million views. He even posted about 2 hats, a street term for 2 murders, and updated his neck tattoo, adding 10 teardrops, with 2 of them connected, likely symbolizing those killings. His lyrics started referencing school shootings and graduations, glorifying violence in a way that made him even more popular in the drill scene. As the months passed, Jeff's fame kept growing, but so did the danger around him. By May 2024, he was claiming responsibility for 11 murders, making him one of the most feared figures in Chicago's drill world. He was no longer just rapping about killings, he was taking part in them. His music became even more aggressive, more detailed, and more incriminating. But he was not alone. His young protege, Q50, was watching and learning. Michaela Cooper, better known as Q50, was not just another street kid trying to make a name for himself. He grew up in chaos. His world was one where survival meant being ruthless. Q50 was not just another kid who got caught up in the streets, he was born into it. He spent his childhood moving between Chicago and Indiana, but no matter where he was, violence surrounded him. In Chicago, he found his place with the BloodHounds, one of the city's most feared crews. But the person who shaped him the most was his cousin, Lil Jeff. Jeff was more than family, he was Q50's role model, the one who showed him how to survive and rise in the streets. Jeff had a reputation that made people both fear and respect him. He was always on the attack, never backing down. Q50 admired that. He watched how Jeff handled things, how he built his name through drill music, and how he made sure his actions matched his words. When Jeff went on a mission for revenge after the murder of his cousin Z Money, Q50 paid close attention. He learned how Jeff moved, how he planned his attacks, and how he used social media and music to keep the war going. The first major act of violence linked to Jeff and Q50 was the killing of Jaleel Gones, also known as L, on June 25, 2023. L was sitting in a rideshare near the UIC campus when his car was ambushed. More than 20 shots were fired, killing him instantly and injuring the driver. Surveillance footage showed a dark SUV pulling up next to the car right before the shooting. Many believed L was targeted because he had connections to Trap City, a rival crew, and had been disrespecting fallen members of Jeff's group. Some claimed he was not even deep in the gang life, just someone who got caught up in the wrong crowd. His death set off a violent chain reaction. Unlike most of their targets, Glenn survived his attack. In September 2023, Glenn, a well-known member of Trap City, was leaving a liquor store when 2 masked shooters ambushed him, spraying his car with bullets. He was hit multiple times, but managed to survive. Instead of going to the police, Glenn did what many in the streets do. he went on Instagram Live. He showed his bullet wounds and swore revenge. This only made things worse. Members of his crew taunted Jeff and Q50 online, and soon after, another life was taken in what seemed to be retaliation. Q50 later referenced the robbery in his music, specifically in his song, Make It Fall. In the lyrics, he rapped about attacking both 6,300 Bro and his girlfriend. This was not just music, it was real life playing out in front of the world. 6,300 Bro was connected to a group called TMC, which operated on the west side of Chicago near Marquette Park. One of the well-known rappers from TMC was TMC Slide, who had been keeping a close eye on everything that was happening. The violence was far from over. Bro and his crew from TMC, including rappers Slide and Nutso, had been trying to save face after the robbery, going live on Instagram multiple times. But the damage had already been done. Lil Jeff, Q50, and their BloodHounds crew had sparked a new rivalry. Just like past conflicts with Monty and Rob, things escalated fast. About a week after the robbery, something happened to TMC Slide. Q50 quickly took to social media, claiming that Slide was out of the picture for good. At the same time, Lil Jeff went live, bragging that he had taken out 11 people. This fueled rumors that he was responsible for multiple deaths, including one of an 80 Mob member named Baby KD, real name Khalil Dunball. In Slide's case, there was confusion about what really happened. Was he gone, or was this just talk? Even Jeff seemed unsure, posting, "Is he dead or alive?" before claiming, "I know the truth," but the ops do not want to admit it. Then he wrote, "Pull the plug," making it seem like Slide was in critical condition, possibly on life support. Then, out of nowhere, Slide's Instagram became active again. He posted that he was on vacation in the Dominican Republic, telling people to stop calling his phone. But some fans noticed that his trip had likely happened months earlier, back in March 2024, not after the supposed attack. Later, someone went live on Slide's Instagram, showing palm trees in the background. But they never showed their face, making people wonder if it was really him. Meanwhile, Lil Jeff kept taunting him. While in Los Angeles with Vert and Lil Show, he went live, saying he had not heard from Slide since he crashed into a building. That was one of the first hints about what had happened. He repeated, "Pull the plug" on his life support. By the end of May, Q50 also joined in, posting that people were fooling themselves by acting like Slide was still alive. He even updated his body count on Facebook, claiming he was now up to 8. Back in March, he had said 7, meaning someone had been taken out between then and May. At first, it was unclear if he was talking about Baby KD or Slide. But that changed when he released Make It Fall, where he rapped about having 8 bodies and mocked people who still believed his last victim was alive. It was clearly about Slide. In June, Vert also jumped in, posting on Instagram, "Ask Slide to post a picture or something to prove he is still alive." Once again, someone posted on Slide's account, saying he was fine and asking why people thought he was gone. They pointed out that no major Chicago news pages had reported anything about his death. However, in the comments, someone claiming to know his family said he was actually fighting for his life and that his brother had been using his Instagram. As Q50 kept dropping music through July 2024, his songs had more and more references to Slide's situation. In Splash Brothers, he rapped about how Slide had been shot a month earlier and had not spoken since. Since the song was likely recorded in mid-June, it hinted that Slide had been injured in May. Another track, First Day Out, had Q50 saying that Slide had been shot before crashing his car. Leaked songs revealed even more. In Bad Boy, featuring Lil Sko, Q50 seemed to confirm that Slide had been shot with a 10mm pistol. Another song, Scarface, had Q50 rapping that the streets knew who shot Slide, and he was annoyed that people still acted like Slide was alive. At this point, it was still unclear if Slide had survived or if his friends and family were covering it up by using his social media. But one thing was certain, his absence was a major topic in Chicago's underground rap scene. The speculation only made things worse, and with Jeff and Q50 constantly mocking him, the situation was not cooling down. Then, in June 2024, Everything changed when Lil Jeff was ambushed. Q50 was right there, allegedly firing back at the car trying to escape. A female witness crashed her car 2 miles away and later cooperated with police, giving critical details about what had happened. But even with that information, Q50 walked free. Instead of laying low, he went even harder. With Jeff gone, Q50 became the new face of the Bloodhounds. He kept rapping, sliding on his enemies, and taunting them every chance he got. At this point, it was not just about making a name for himself. It was about carrying on the war his cousin had started. Q50 had stepped up, becoming one of the most reckless and feared young shooters in his circle. He was not just rapping about the violence, he was living it. He had built a reputation as someone who was always ready to press the issue, take down his enemies, and put in work for the Bloodhounds. And just like Jeff, he made sure everybody knew about it.